where we are facing the demand for innovative development of educational system in all over the world. With the trend towards the unification of educational process by the Bologna system, issue with credit transfers and popularization of double and the joint degree program have become a huge requirement which developing education system in different countries to create compatible organizational elements for more global reach. On the other hand, processes has become more difficult and at the same time accelerated due to the COVID-19 pandemic. To support sustainable economic growth and prosperity in Asia-Pacific regions as a part of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the adoption and the quantitative enhancement of the world's best practices in education is of paramount importance of APEC. I'm very thankful to happy that with our participant partners in Russia and Asian countries that we are united in the idea that the most important thing is to continue dialogue and to create and implement new programs and projects during the difficult period in order to return to the traditional forms of cooperation with new opportunity in the past COVID-19 era. Therefore, I hope that today's session will be a productive platform for sharing ideas, case studies, and the best practices to help all through these difficult times and to contribute more innovative to the educational system in the future. Before we proceed, let me remind you some basic rules to make our discussion fruitful. First, all speakers presented their ideas and reports. Hence, please keep in mind duration limits, no more than 8 minutes for a presentation. We would really appreciate if in the end of your speech, you could summarize the ideas and draw a recommendation for joint document. Please keep your questions to the speakers for discussion session. After all presenters are done speaking. Okay. Please join. I would like to proceed our discussion today to invite the first speaker, Professor Yurin Levin. Please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here. So this is a very important topic, especially these days when things change really quickly. And clearly, the recent pandemic has accelerated many of the trends in many industries, and clearly the education industry is not an exception. So what we see, across the boards, the main trends happening in other industries clearly started to happen in education. So, the first trend is really the rapid introduction of technology in different educational processes. What we see, for example, is that artificial intelligence comes into play in many different roles. So one of the most important ones is the following. So artificial intelligence allows to personalize the educational journey of our students, of the participants on many programs. And, when I say many programs, I mean, degree programs, I mean open enrollment programs, I mean the continuous education. So, and this is extremely important. So, the Amazon type recommender system becomes something very relevant to education. So what we are trying to do in our school at Skolkovo, so we're trying to somehow create a recommendation engine that would, suggest, which courses to take, when to take, whether, you need to take something on the continuous basis for the next 12 months, or maybe you need to just take, a couple of courses for the next 3 months, take a break, and then come back with a better understanding what you want to do down the road in your career, in your life in general. And I think that it's something that most educational institutions are going to be working on, because what we all know and what we all experienced at some point is that, when you talk to a student, and a student says, I want to take something in finance. I'm really interested in finance. But what you realize, in 10 minutes, talking to this person, is that what he or she really needs is something in ventures. So, sometimes people come with a perception that is not true. And we feel that this is our obligation to really make sure that we can recommend. And these days, with the current state of technology, whether you use machine learning or any other techniques, you can actually make very good recommendations to the students. So that's number one. The other one, the current trend, and we see it across the boards, is really, the fact that a traditional educational model, when people finish the high school, go to the university and spend 4 or 5 years in the university getting a bachelor and master degree, and then working for 25, 30 years relying on the skills that they acquired during the first 3, 4 years. So this traditional model becomes less and less relevant to the realities of today's world, of the today's economy. So there is a general trend to continuous education. So people, go to school, maybe they spend a year, 18 months, taking some courses, acquiring some skills, then they work for a while, realize that there is a gap, they come back to school, and so on and so forth. So the traditional understanding of even the term alumni is changing. So alumni is something that, you just graduate from a school and this is it. So now, we're looking at our students as repeated customers in business. So again, they take a course, they finish a program, they take a break, they come back, they take a break, they come back, they bring their company, they bring their friends, they bring their relatives, and so on and so forth. So they stay with the school, they stay in our space for, well, ideally for the entire life. So this brings us to the notion of lifelong learning that, many of us have heard. So this is, and again, this is a fundamental trend, and clearly all the educational institutions would need to adjust, first of all, their curriculums, and second of all, they would need to adjust how they, do business with their students. Again, students become their clients or customers. So again, how you communicate with your students, how you communicate with your customers, how you keep them informed, how you keep them engaged in your space. This is all becomes extremely important. And again, in the traditional educational model, these things, have not been thought very carefully, or, they were simply ignored. So it's going to really change fundamentally the organizational structure of most institutions, because again, institutions become businesses. So, customer relations, becomes an important part of this engagement. The next trend that is also important is, it's kind of obvious, but still I want to say a few words about this, is the transition to online learning. And, we all experienced this during the pandemic. Now, and when I say, transitioning to online learning, so we may talk about, online learning per se, or we may talk about all kind of hybrid formats where, some of the courses, some of the modules are delivered in the online mode and some in the virtual mode, and some of the courses are delivered in person, right? And you can combine, these two formats in many different ways. So the problem with the online delivery is it's the effect of presence. So, and this is why, again, the technology can really help to make sure that people are really present in the room. So all kind of VR technologies, right? They help to make sure that, again, that the effect of presence is there. But technology is not enough. So the teaching techniques that work in a classroom do not work online. So, and this is why, again, when we teach how to teach, then, teaching online and teaching, in person are two very different things. So, and I think that this is really the main problem these days. It's not the technology that allow us to deliver the online learning. It's really the teaching methodology that allow us to deliver it effectively without losing the effect of presence in the room. And this is why, again, the university would need to adjust and would need to somehow teach their professors how to teach online. It would require creating online textbooks, again, that would, it's a different way how you even, have some laboratory classes or anything else online. And it would take some time, and it would require a lot of effort from all of us, because the perception that you can install a technology and deliver kind of an in-person class online is not true. So I think, I used up my time, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Levin. You have to leave right now, I was told, so please leave if you want. And I would like to introduce the next speaker, Timothy Edward O'Connor, professor, director of Competence Center, professor of Development of Foreign Language and Communication Technologies, Institute of Basic Education, member of the Academic Council, National University of Science and Technology, Russia. Professor O'Connor, the floor is yours.
Большое спасибо. Я хотел бы сейчас запустить презентацию. Видите презентацию, правильно? Уважаемые коллеги, видно?
Да, видно, видно.
Отлично. Уважаемые коллеги, добрый день. Моя презентация займет ровно 8 минут. Мне весьма приятно вас приветствовать на международной конференции Азиатско-Тихоокеанского экономического сотрудничества по высшему образованию. Перед НИТУ-МИСИС, как научно-образовательным центром мирового уровня, стоят две задачи. Формирование собственной научно-образовательной повестки и поиск ответов на вызовы времени, запросы бизнес-сообщества. Сегодня НИТУ-МИСИС – один из ведущих научно-образовательных центров страны. В структуре университета 9 институтов и 6 филиалов, 4 из которых работают в России и 2 за рубежом. Более 40 научно-исследовательских лабораторий и инженерных центров. НИТУ-МИСИС более 20 тысяч обучающихся, среди которых 25% – это студенты из 84 стран мира. В университете создана международная творческая среда. У нас учатся молодые люди из всех регионов России, ближнего и дальнего зарубежья. В университете работает свыше 4000 сотрудников, ученых, преподавателей, методистов, аналитиков. Более 1000 из них кандидаты и доктора наук. НИТУ-МИСИС входит в топ-50 предметного рейтинга QS Engineering горное дело и в топ-100 предметного рейтинга ARWU по направлению инженеринг металлургия. По итогам 2020 года университет в группе 151+ предметного рейтинга QS Material Science и лидер в области материаловедения среди российских университетов. Наш университет входит в топ-500 лучших вузов мира по версии глобального рейтинга QS и в топ-10 национального рейтинга университета по версии Интерфакса. Сегодня НИТУ-МИСИС признанный исследовательский университет мирового уровня. Ученые университета ведут научные исследования как по традиционным направлениям в области металлургии, горного дела, материаловедения, так и в сфере квантовых технологий, биомедицины, инженеринга, в том числе для проектов Мегасайенс, дизайна материалов и технологий производства, технологий устойчивого развития и информационных технологий. На базе НИТУ-МИСИС работают передовые научные и образовательные центры, точка рождения инноваций, центр компетенций МТИ, квантовые коммуникации, инженеринговый центр прототипирования высокой сложности кинетика, который проводит инновационные исследования и разработки для целого списка российских предприятий. В основе образовательной модели НИТУ-МИСИС лежит интеграция образования и науки. Университет сочетает фундаментальную подготовку студентов с проектно-ориентированным подходом к обучению. Чтобы помочь молодым людям сохранить интерес к учебе, успешно сдать экзамены, найти время для творчества и отдыха, в НИТУ-МИСИС со 2-го семестра, 2-го курса активно внедряются индивидуальные образовательные траектории. Мы этим очень гордимся. В НИТУ-МИСИС мы принимаем смешанное обучение, гибридную модель обучения, когда студенты получают знания как очно, для студентов, расписание занятий, успеваемость, электронная зачетка, доступ к цифровой образовательной платформе, оплате обучения и общежития и другие. Для преподавателей и сотрудников интерактивное расписание, индивидуальный план преподавателей, заказ справок и других документов, электронные ведомости. В условиях глобальной цифровизации общественных и бизнес-процессов МИСИС наращивает компетенции в области подготовки IT-специалистов, увеличивая прием на профильные направления, ежегодно повышая качество набора. Например, увеличился прием на IT-направление с одновременным повышением качества набора. 2013 год – 293 человека, 2020 год – 1037 человек. Средний балл ЕГЭ, зачисленных на бюджетные места, 2013 год 78,2, 2021 год 97,4. Разница, конечно, большая. 2018
Recording in progress.
Успех выпускника, значит, поточнее, одна из миссий МИСИС. Наш университет в своей деятельности исходит из принципа student first, то есть студент прежде всего. Мы уверены, что успех студента невозможен без тесного сотрудничества университета с бизнес-сообществом. Сегодня мы сотрудничаем более чем с 1600 ведущими российскими и зарубежными компаниями, среди которых Metal Invest, Объединенная металлургическая компания, Сбер, Росатом, Highway, НЛМК, Северсталь, Норникл, Mail.ru Group, Micromine и другие. Ежегодно наш университет выполняет более 500 договоров мир и ОКР, в том числе и в интересах бизнес-партнеров. Российская стратегия образования устойчивого развития разработана с учетом таких критериев, как фундаментальность, комплексность, непрерывность и междисциплинарность. Чтобы соответствовать современным тенденциям, МИСИС регулярно проводит аудит, повышает качество образовательных программ и запускает новые проекты. Мы организуем практикоориентированное обучение. Занятия в университете дополняются стажировками и референс-визитами на предприятия, которые имеют успешный опыт развития производственных систем, работы с персоналом в условиях изменений, охраны труда, безопасности и экологии. В рамках государственной программы МИСИС активно взаимодействует с регионами. Сегодня в состав университета входит 6 филиалов, 4 в России и 2 за рубежом. Старооскольский технологический институт имени А.А. Угарова, филиалы в Губкине, Быксе, Новотроицке, Душанбе, Таджикистан и Алмалики, Узбекистан. В заключение, уважаемые коллеги, МИСИС предоставляет молодым людям возможность получить фундаментальное образование, и по этому поводу мы хотели бы, безусловно, с вами сотрудничать. Постоянное усовершенствование, запуск новых образовательных программ, проектно-ориентированной подготовки квалифицированных специалистов по целому списку инженерных направлений, погружение обучающихся в научно-исследовательскую деятельность, создание условий для развития потенциала и способностей каждого студента, внимание к формированию коммуникативных компетенций, востребованных работодателями. Это вклад МИСИС в развитие системы высшего образования в России и в достижение целей, общей цели устойчивого экономического роста. Спасибо за внимание.
Thank you, Professor O'Connor. So we just changed our program and asked Professor Junichi Takada to introduce his idea next time. May I ask Dr. Junichi Takada, can hear me?
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Please, please start.
Yes. Let me share my screen first. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
And I'd like to change to the presentation mode just for a moment. So just during the screen setup, let me introduce myself. My name is Junichi Takada, the Vice President of International Affairs of Tokyo Institute of Technology. Sorry, my PC is a little bit slow to switch the screen. So today I'm going to talk about the title is the Designing Our Future, and we'd like to talk about the initiative of Tokyo Tech for the designing the future. So can you see the full screen now?
Yes, we can. Thank you very much.
So the sorry, I pressed something wrong. Just a moment. Yes, so let me go ahead. So today I'm going to talk about our initiative of DLAB. What stands for DLAB? DLAB stands for the Laboratory for Design of Social Innovation in Global Network. And this DLAB was established in 2018 to gauge the needs and desires of the society and design our future together with the public and create a brighter and more prosperous world. So to do that, we make this DLAB as the platform for the open brainstorming and discussion among the Tokyo Tech community and also the people outside with the various backgrounds such as industry, the government, academia, and even the young people like the high school students to discuss about the future. So we believe that the function of the universities as the driver of innovation in three aspects. One is the advancement of science and technology. The second one is the fostering the human resources with the expertise and the leadership. And the third is the dialogue with the society. So in particular, in terms of the dialogue with the society, traditionally, the university listened to the society and just responded to the needs of those people, the stakeholders. On the other hand, the DLAB takes the more inclusive and interactive approach, I mean the dialogue between Tokyo Tech and public. And in particular, the DLAB aims to share the vision for a future we all want, rather than future as the university thinks it should be. So the next slide is the concept of the DLAB approach. So traditionally, we forecast the future based on the technology and the social trend and the issues to be solved. And then we achieve the society that solves the problem. Instead, in our DLAB approach, it starts by envisioning the future we want. And we do this by taking into account the current issues as well as existing and emerging science and technology. But once we clarify what could be the better future, and then we walk backward from the image, considering the steps toward this envisioned future. Through this process, we can create the new research or even the new business concept to approach for the better future. So this approach is referred to as the backcasting, and I think some of you may already be familiar with this term. So we compiled the Tokyo Tech future chronology that consists of 24 future scenarios. They are the future scenarios as the output of these workshops with the people. So each future scenario describes the future we want in the context of our daily lives. Yeah, obviously, the Tokyo Tech also challenged the SDGs, which define the actions we should take to achieve the goals by the target year of 2030. This is rather the traditional approach, but we also work hard for the achievement of SDGs, especially in the field of energy and environment. So our new organizations such as the School of Environment and Society, Academy of Energy and Informatics, or Laboratory for Zero Carbon Energy, they are all such examples. But in contrast, in the D-Lab, we propose what we can do for the future we want through the strength of Tokyo Tech. So the future chronology is not limited just to 2030, but it spans from 2030 even up to 2200. The Japanese language version of this future chronology is displayed at the Centennial Hall, which is located just in the main, next to the main gate of Tokyo Tech. So each future scenario consists of 4 main elements. The title and description here are the future we want. And key challenges between now and the future is summarized here. And technological and societal challenges are summarized here. And finally, the expected role of the universities in the scenario is concluded at the bottom. So each future scenario is described to bring out how the research is connected to a desired future, and just to highlight what may be necessary to realize such future. So among them, I just want to introduce one scenario. This is scenario number 8, which envisions the family life in the year 2040. When everything we do in our daily lives can be done at home, and the role and functions of the family are strengthened. Unfortunately, due to the COVID pandemic, we are forced to work at home, and but it can be said that part of this scenario has come 20 years earlier than we expected. Please note that the D-Lab envisions this scenario in the spring of 2019 before the COVID pandemic. So we found the future is here. So obviously, this is the initiative of Tokyo Tech to discuss about what is the future we want. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Takada. Unfortunately, 2 more speakers cannot enter this site, so that we tentatively ask all participants the question or opinion to last 3 speakers. However, the first speaker, Levin, has left already. That's why for two speakers, Professor Okona and Professor Takada, is there any question among the participants? Please let me know if you have, or raise your hands. Oh, please. Yeah. Go ahead. Introduce yourself first.
Sure. Chancellor Yamada, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. This is Professor Jenny Su. I'm president of National Cheng Kung University Seigo Daigaku at Taiwan. Very well meeting you online. I was present in the similar venue last year, and I remember your deliberation as well. So first of all, thank you for hosting this event. And I certainly was able to enjoy the previous three presentation. Unfortunately, with Dr. Okano, there was an acoustic problem. So very little we could grasp the information. So apology first to Tim. My very first inquiry was directed to Professor Takada. Certainly, NCKU has a long partnership history collaboration with the Tokyo Institute of Technology as well. So it's wonderful meeting friends or colleagues on this platform. It's very admirable that you laid out very grand sort of overarching idea toward even 100 or 200 years later. But at the same time, we are very much impacted at the higher education sector through these 2 years of COVID. And I'm sure both with Chancellor Yamada and with TIT, to a great extent, our educational contents, curriculum, and even daily operation is tremendously impacted or affected by these challenges. And to a great extent as well, we are wondering whether we are still able to envision the future in the way that we think we are comfortable with. So often we wonder whether we are now losing the necessary skill of imagination or envision about our changing. Because every day, I think that the variant, the keep changing variant, is teaching us nothing can be scheduled, nothing can be predicted based on the best technology we have, based on the most sort of collected or collective knowledge we have about either the microbiology, about the medicine, or about the resilience of the society. So how you, and this question maybe Dr. Yamada would also like to share your input as well, how we together is sort of incorporating or adapting or adjusting ourselves. Do we think we are adjusting ourselves good enough, well enough to be able to continue our role as the educator in the research-intensive university or even just the university itself? So thank you for allowing me to elaborate some of my sentiments. But again, thank you so much for a wonderful and very, very informative presentation. Imaginative as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Same as you. I couldn't understand well at the part of Professor Okona. If he can use English, I would like ask him to summarize what he has told us. And your question divided the two parts. One is a so-called shortcoming, action for us, and also the long-term, more than 100 years, that part. I would like to ask the Professor Takada, such a long-term and the future, perspective or the, idea. I'm very impressed and admire the Tokyo Tech's this approach, and it's a good, stimulation among the academic. Please say a few words about this question.
Thank you very much, Professor Su and Professor Yamada. And first of all, I also appreciate to meet you online. I mean that we have the long collaboration with NCKU. Thank you very much. And yes, I'd like to respond to this question, which is just my response. I mean that it's too tough question to answer. So just share my idea. Let me share my idea. So first of all, as I mentioned, that this the future chronology was developed before the pandemic. So this drastic change of the people mentality might influence, if we discuss that even with the same topic, maybe we may observe the very big change. And I just mentioned that this chronology should be updated responding to the future we want. So I personally feel that now this kind of future, I mean the expectation should be reiterated, reflecting the situation of the society. And in particular, as the research university, yes, this is a big challenge. And of course, we have some research initiative against the COVID, but at least in Tokyo Tech, because of the nature of the science and engineering university, we put top priority in the research environment, so that at least the graduate students are still under this condition. We introduce a lot of measures, but they are allowed to continue the research in the laboratory. And fortunately, we didn't identify any kind of the cluster transfer among the labs. So really, with the very great care, we still sustain the research activities. Of course, like we are encouraged to work at home if not necessary to be in the lab to do the experiments and so on. So, but obviously the role of the faculty members should be changed. In particular, how to sustain and how to continue to motivate the students to work. And this is a big challenge. And unfortunately, to this question, I don't have the very good answer. But at least we made our best effort to protect the health of all the members, but to continue the education and the research. That's what I can say. And we have a few initiatives, but I think such kind of initiatives are quite common in many universities. So yeah, that's what I want to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Takada. Is there any other comment related to this subject from our participants? Please contact me. It's a very stimulating subject, and all university, of course, it's a kind of a long-term planning. However, it's challenging over the 100 years, planning project, and it gives kind of a dream or encouragement for the student and the staff and faculty, I believe. Is there any other comment further this point? If not, but go to the shortcoming problem which are facing related to the COVID-19. Before entering this subject, I would like to ask Professor O'Connor again. Please make your presentation in short by English, because your speech was simultaneous translation. However, it makes some difficulty to listen your speech itself. If possible, Dr. O'Connor, if you can hear me, please make your presentation in short.
Thank you, Yamada, and it's a pleasure to see you again. It's too bad that we are not able to meet in person, but nonetheless, I apologize. I was told that I should speak in Russian and make the presentation in Russian. So I should have obviously done it in English. And in short, my comments were in keeping with what we've been discussing so far, that at our university, the National University of Science Technology, MISIS, we started a process of introducing digital technologies in 2012 and enhanced beginning in 2015. So on the one hand, we were, I think, fairly well positioned. That wasn't we didn't plan for the pandemic, obviously, but we were fairly well positioned to move wholly to online learning when we all were compelled to do so because of COVID-19. So there was a particular advantage in our case, it seems to me. Yet on the other, in keeping with everyone's, I think, quite correct commentary, there have been challenges, largely, I think, not only technical, because we've been able to deal with those, but really more psychological. I think, if I could use the term, the effort has been to manage expectations. I think colleagues will agree with me that not all students have been happy with online learning, and not all faculty have been happy with online learning. In my own teaching, I've had to adjust considerably, as we all have, in terms of teaching online. And so what we've tried to do, and I think with increasing success in our effort to individualize the student journey, is to provide additional opportunities, additional choices in online format. And I fully agree with the comments about a research-intensive university, in our case, with historic emphasis on material science, new materials. Yuri Gagarin went into space on MISIS materials. Then how do you do that if you cannot work directly in laboratories, only in an online format? It's, of course, not sustainable long term. So these are challenges we all face, and while we've had successes, we've had, I think, made progress. There's still room for development, room for growth, and we welcome collaboration. 25% of our students are international, and it's been, of course, like we've all experienced, a great challenge to deal with them online in particular, because not all of them have the technical capacity to do so, and the time difference, such as we're facing now with this conference, you all are familiar with these challenges, but we have to continue in the interests of sustainable development, the further progress of higher education, the betterment of quite a troubled world. So please, if there are specific proposals, we would welcome the activity. There will be I'm convinced there will be a post-COVID world, and we have to be able to re-enter that world or enter that world. Probably there'll be some features of the COVID society that will be with us forever, it seems to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor O'Connor. Your attempt were already started before the COVID-19. So,
yes, yes.
So maybe this pandemic accelerates your, attempt. We may enter the subject of, most controversial issue of current education and COVID-19's pandemic. But I think that this phenomena itself is not a vital issue. The trend of the education is already started and moving just a parallel of a solution of pandemic problem, I think.
I agree.
Is there any comment or opinion about this issue? Professor Su, you are now fully understand what the Professor O'Connor want to tell us. So something to do with this. If you have
what a
any
treat.
more,
Yeah, what a treat. Thank you so much, Tim, if I may address so.
Thank you, Jimmy. Again,
yes,
I apologize.
So I think I cut most of the idea, but it was wonderful to be able to at least retrospectively coming back to catch some of the information. If I may, the questions will be on the following. First of all, if I understood correctly, the university has started quite extensively way back 2012 or 2013 to some extent, not only in terms of adopting the digital technology, but I assume a sort of high percentage of your curriculum is formally adopting the distance learning or the other sort of virtual format. So so I was wondering, were you able either at the individual as a faculty level or at the institutional level, you were already sort of acquire or derive some data really to be able to compare students prior to this exercise and then the 10 years after you already have some percentage, okay, imposing on this curriculum in terms of their competency or their professional eloquence, stuff like that. I was particularly interested in the issue addressed, to what extent we are now totally comfortable with this sort of a blended module for those courses that heavily emphasize the sort of the practical skill, the hands-on capability, and those experiences or sentiment that we took after you were actually working on the gadgets or actually handling those experiments. To make a long story short, we did forcefully and then aggressively try to encourage the faculty come up with a sort of a AR/VR mixed model of experimental design, so that, and then we carefully try to gauge and test students' competency in terms of understanding those experiments and actually being able to handle those experiments. But we have still a high concern, very, very heavy concern. We are engineering, science, technology, focused university. So that has been the strength or the highlight of our students' quality. And these days, we are challenged by how we can comfortably present our students to the industry, to the society, that they are still as able, as qualified as before these formats are introduced. So that would be some of my focus.
Well, Jenny, I thank you. your comments are well made, and we did with hindsight two things that really provided a foundation for dealing with the pandemic, but we need to take the matter a step further. Beginning in even earlier in 2010, we introduced a program on English language learning, a joint program in collaboration with Cambridge University Press. The focus was on blended. There was a blended learning model, and that became gave us a substantial experience in dealing with blended learning before we were forced to do so because of the pandemic. Second, in 2019, in January of 2019, that is, before the widespread outbreak of the pandemic, we established what we would call a center of pedagogical excellence, or learning and teaching center. And of course, as Yamada correctly pointed out, the pandemic compelled us to move more quickly, to intensify our activities, but we were able to put many of our faculty through in the summer of 2019, throughout 2019 and then 2020, we were able to put many of our faculty through various professional development programs dealing with blended learning, with online learning. And there were some who resisted, of course, and there's some who still resist, but the reality is such that most of our faculty have come to understand that at least as of today, the pandemic is not going away, and we need to deal with it to the best of our capability with respect to the opportunities that technology, contemporary methods of learning provide. So, but I go back to the motivational question. I mean, I think that's really really important. How does one, and I don't have an exact answer, but how does one motivate students? How does one motivate faculty so that to make the best of a bad situation, frankly, the best of a crisis, and still rise to the occasion to enhance learning as much as possible, to conduct research at the highest level, especially in science and technology. It's one thing in the humanities, is quite another, of course, if you're wedded to a laboratory, and how do you have access? How do you have access to the materials? We talk about working as a team, but how do you work as a team when you have to do so only in an online format? These are all huge challenges, and while we were prepared to some extent to deal with these challenges, of course, the intensity of them and the duration have made it interesting, mildly put. Have provided even more challenges that we didn't anticipate at the outset.
Yeah, thank you very much. So another person who raised the hands, Dr. Akita. If you have some, please. Dr. Akita, you once raise your hand.
No, I just give the hands. I have no question.
Okay. But if you have any more, no further.
No, at this point. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. And we are now discussing about current issue related to COVID-19. Dr. Takada, your main part is long-term project. However,
yes.
This concerned, if you have some any comment or opinion, please show us.
Yes, thank you very much. And yes, in terms of the online and the blended learning, really, Tokyo Tech was, yes, there are a few persons who took the initiative, but it was not widespread before the COVID. So unfortunately, almost all of us are just the newcomers to the online learning when the COVID pandemic broke out. So, but really, we have the short-term training for almost everybody, and it's not only the university level, but the local level. I mean, that for individual department, we have the intensive works. Nobody is the expert, but we made the best effort. And obviously, because of this background, we didn't rely on the blended approach like the flipped courses, but rather to say we made the best effort to deliver the courses as it is. And obviously, I personally feel that that is not the best approach, but at least because we are not getting used to with the blended approach, one decision by the Executive Vice President of Education was that we should deliver all the lectures on live. So we are not allowed to give the recorded videos for the students to the classes because really we don't have the enough skill doing such kind of the recorded videos. So really that initiative, I observed that at least in summer last year, we got the feedback from the students about this modality of the courses. By the way, we also requested all the professors to record all the lectures, which sounds a little bit contradictory, but really just to record the live video because of the audio problem or because of the internet connection or something like that. So really, we have two modalities. I mean, the live delivery of the lecture, and the other one is just storing the video and to open to all the students. And at least after half a year practice, we conducted a very wide survey among the students. And the feedback was quite positive, except for the new students. For the students, I mean the senior students, even they appreciated more than the face-to-face lectures in some cases. Yeah, because the situation of Tokyo, if you already experienced, you can just imagine that in the morning in particular, it's a little bit problematic to commute. And in particular, the morning session, some students are a bit reluctant to come on time. But really just to switch to the online mode, they are very punctual. Everybody came on time. And really, according to the feedback, and also because of the nature of the Tokyo Tech students, I mean that there are many technology geeks, really the online lecture delivery itself was quite well accepted. Only the problem is more like the psychological effect for in particular for the newcomer students. I mean, their complaint was very straightforward that they don't have the opportunity to make friends. So they have difficulty to connect with their classmates. So that's why maybe for the senior students, they already have established the communication channels. But for the new students, it seems that it's not so easy as the face-to-face to make the friends to each other. And that was the challenge. And because of this, in this April, by the way, April is the beginning of the academic year in Japan. But in April, this April, we invite just the first year courses in the campus. I mean that we accept just the first year student to study on campus so that they can interact directly to each other. And instead, we requested the senior students to be connected online, in particular for the courseworks. That's what we are practicing. And forthcoming semester, we plan to invite the second year students who were the first year students last year who suffer from the most serious situation. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic, again, we are just wondering whether we can do it or not. This is a very simple practice of Tokyo Tech, but we try our best in we try to be most honest to the students, and obviously we didn't introduce very sophisticated approach, but that's what we are doing now.
Thank you, Professor Takada. I think that almost all your faculty has enough knowledge of the science. That's why professors are much more easier to enter the new way of teaching. The problem of like us, humanities and social science professors are very much reluctant to use distance teaching. And some of them, I didn't touch any computer before. The handwritten paper is, the much precious than digital document or something like that. But a student themselves, much quicker than the professors. That accelerate, that encourage, and force the old professor, even though they are reluctant to have to, use this way of teaching. Think indeed. But another problem is, the freshmen or the young students who just enter the university needs the in-person education. Otherwise, they felt themselves isolated. It's a very much a common phenomena among the all over the world universities. So another problem is, it's an international student. You see, today, Professor O'Connor, he is joining this conference from Moscow. It means he got up early in the morning. Vladivostok and Japan, just a 1 hour time difference. Those, Asian area, we don't have a time difference problem, but United States or the European countries, one of the side would be sacrificed to join the course. Anyhow, I think at today we have 5 speakers. However, the 2 speakers who couldn't join the conference, unfortunately, due to the connection problem, and also the one person who misunderstood the time difference. So that's why we only have 3 speakers, but we could have a very fruitful discussion among us. Yes,
Yamada, thank you. I want to comment. I didn't really, I think, fully answer Jenny's comment or question. I thought it was quite a wise statement. In terms of, if I understood correctly, Jenny, research on learning, we don't, it seems in the world, we don't really do, at least in higher education, nearly as much research on learning effectiveness. We talk about it, but there's not a great deal of research done. And when I mentioned the next step or next steps that we need to take at our university, the NEST-MISIS, with respect to our Center of Educational Educational Learning and Teaching Center, or the Educational Excellence, Pedagogical Excellence. Right now, we've been intensively involved in trying to introduce as many features of online learning as we can, so that our faculty feel much more comfortable in teaching in that mode. But we haven't moved yet, and we're starting, but we need to complete the process of really trying to conduct some research, to do some comparative studies as to where the gaps are, where we need to try to make improvements with respect to our online offerings. We do a lot of student surveys, as all of you do, I'm certain, and that's information, that's helpful, and we survey faculty as well, but we don't really have any, I can't say that we have any data-driven studies on comparing our learning effectiveness pre-COVID and post and during the COVID, and it would be good to do something, if you wish, if there is hopefully eventually a post-COVID period. So it would be good, I think, for all of us to undertake. That would be an interesting collaborative project. Some real research on learning effectiveness using blended learning. We talk about it, but to my knowledge, there's just not a lot of data available. Most of it is subjective. I mean, we're doing the same thing as everyone else. It's sort of trial and error. We try something, it seems to work, we continue, or we stop and we do something else, and that's not bad. And I agree with this comment about being honest in the process of explaining to all the contemporary word stakeholders, especially students, that we don't have all the answers, and we're doing the best we can, and hopefully so that they themselves buy into the process. But much more is expected of them, and that's maybe not a bad thing, but there's been a great shift of responsibility as well, and throughout the pandemic, it seems to me, much more of the responsibility for their own learning on learners. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but I think we need to recognize it and try to measure therefore learning effectiveness through that prism.
Thank you very much. So I would like to conclude this session by having many, good suggestion or the opinion. Each institution has its own effort to overcome current problem, and we may. This is a very good opportunity for us to see others are doing, and I think the APEC can provide the platform such a information exchange or the result showing. But anyhow, each institute during this difficult time may spontaneously introduce what we have done, what we have succeeded, and the people who just visited those sites can have some input or suggestions through those information. I think that there is no correct answer, or there is no one solution. Probably it depends on the situation of each institute or the country or region. It differs each by each. However, may utilize what others are doing. So I think that this platform or this kind of discussion is very useful for among our today's participant, and hope to see next year in Vladivostok in face. Thank you very much, all participants Thank you indeed. I would like to finish this session. Thank you indeed. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much as well, Yamada, and I hope to see you next year as well, all of you. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hope to see you all.
Yeah.
Yes, Jenny, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. はい、という